The Charlotte Hornets are good now? The last time the Charlotte Hornets made the last playoff appearance was back in 2016. But fast forward to the current day in the 2025-26 season, by the time this video being recorded, the Hornets are now 32-31 in the 9th seed of the Eastern Conference. Before January 1st, the Hornets were a staggering 11-22 in the conference. People assumed this was going to be another bust year full of injuries and disappointment. With Brandon Miller playing the first game of the season and then missing the next 13 games with a dislocated shoulder. While the other co-star, LaMelo Ball, also missing some time during the early parts of the season. Brandon Miller returned to action after these 13 games missed, and people noticed the shoulder sling he was wearing. Miller anticipates that his sling will be on for the rest of the season. Two key pieces of the rotation were also sidelined with injuries. Josh Green missing the first 24 games of the season, coming off a left shoulder surgery that ended his season early in the 24-25 season. Another critical rotation player for the Hornets was Grant Williams. Grant Williams tore his ACL on November 23rd in 2024. During the game against the Milwaukee Bucks, keeping him sidelined for the rest of the 24-25 season, and missing an immense amount of time of this season as well, only making his return in January 2026.
Now with the Hornets roster being healthy, the second-year coach Charles Lee can now create a formula that works for his team when they're in full force. The starting five consisting of LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, Con Kneppel, and Moussa Diabate are currently 20-2 when they start together. But what makes this starting five so unique and special that it puts the league on notice and turned their season around?
Starting off with the third overall pick in the recent NBA draft, Con Kneppel. Kneppel is shooting at almost 50, 40, 90 on his splits as a rookie, shattering the three-point record previously held by Sacramento Kings player Keegan Murray. Con's arrival gave the Hornets a much-needed breath of fresh air with the roster, always priding himself on being a hustle player by always diving for the loose balls and making sure to put full effort wherever is needed. His 43% shooting percentage from the three leads all rookies in the league this season. With how the Hornets are playing, Con looks like the league candidate for Rookie of the Year, while also winning Conference Rookie of the Month 4 times already this season. Now moving on to Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller is having a great second half of the season, winning Eastern Conference Player of the Week, averaging 21.6 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 3.3 assists per game since January 1st. Brandon Miller has been that deadly offensive weapon the Hornets so desperately needed, whether it's shooting from beyond the arc or getting into that paint and making that statement. Trekking now to LaMelo Ball, star of the group. After a long period of ankle injuries keeping him sidelined for the last couple of years, the medical staff and LaMelo have found a formula to keep him on the court, playing in 53 of the 63 games for Charlotte this year. LaMelo has that unique playmaking ability that gives opportunities for his co-stars to shine in these games. LaMelo has that flair style, and his ability to make three-pointers from any range makes whoever is assigned to him live in a hellish nightmare. The narrative that LaMelo Ball is an unserious player and not a winner isn't justified by how the Hornets are playing with and without him. Within those 10 games LaMelo Ball has missed, the Hornets had a record of 3-7. If the medical staff and LaMelo can maintain his availability on the court, he will be a force to be reckoned with for the rest of his career. Moussa Diabate was converted to a standard contract after originally being signed to a two-way contract from the LA Clippers. At the beginning of this season, Ryan Colburn was the starting center for the Hornets. While his records for when he started was 11-19, given that Moussa Diabate is 23-14. Moussa Diabate is 6'10", giving him that length that allows him to be a paint crasher and is important for the team's rebounders individually, averaging 3.7 offensive rebounds per game. Now going to Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges ain't exactly the greatest person to ever touch a basketball. He's the fifth and final person mentioned in this legendary starting five, averaging 17.6 points, 6 rebounds, and 3.4 assists a game. While Miles is the longest tenure Hornet originally being drafted in the 2018 draft, Miles' role on the team has dwindled with the emergence of LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, and Con Kneppel. He's the leader of this team and holds the rest of the team accountable. All he good for, low-key, but that's all I can say. But how is this starting five faring against the top prospects of the league? In their most recent win against the Boston Celtics, they were a victim to the Hornets starting five, beating them 118-89 at the Garden. While some other notable wins consist of the 27-point blowout against the reigning OKC champions, a 10-point win against the Rockets, a 5-point thriller against the San Antonio Spurs, 37 blowout against the 76ers, 23-point win against Denver Nuggets without Nikola Jokic, and a thrashing of the Utah Jazz, winning by 55. There is no random streak of luck anymore with this Hornets team, though. The sample size is not so small, given now it's 20-2, with these wins being so impactful to the development of the team. But this starting five isn't the only reason why this Hornets team is so dangerous. This bench unit throughout the season consists of veterans and rookies who have a lot of potential. Starting with the rookies that were drafted in this most recent draft beside Conconnipple. Sion James and Ryan Kalkbrenner have been impactful off the bench when called upon. Sion James is a very tough person to guard when given an important assignment. You can always rely on him to make their lives hell. While Ryan Kalkbrenner leads the rookie class with the most blocks. While Ryan Kalkbrenner is still very much of a raw talent, give him some time and he can make that big gap that these modern NBA centers can make now. While some honorable mentions can go out to Josh Green and Grant Williams, both being very impactful in their shooting and their defense. While the sample size with Kobe White is very small, it's looking like a good start for him in his Charlotte Hornets career, being traded from the Chicago Bulls in his most recent deadline. If this team can remain competitive and healthy throughout the remainder of the year, they can make an impressive run at the playoffs this year. A main factor that can change this all, though, is the lack of experience this roster has in the playoffs, with many not having played a single game in the playoff at all. So it might take them a year or two to fully understand this roster and what they can and cannot do. But if they were to win a playoff game in Charlotte, I'd stay off the roads. Because LaMelo Ball betting on that streak, and you finna get a Jello song played over you.